Yeah, baby. Let's get the dance going. Come on. Come on. Get up. Get up. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Time for Dookies. Let's go, baby. Hit the horn. The UNLV knows it's guns time, baby. Give me yeah. 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 What's going on, everybody? It is GunzPicks. It is the Breakin show, and I'm the host of the Mo's, the point guard podcast of the self-proclaimed CBB Go himself. It is GunzPicks, and I am back once again to give you the plays that pay the bills, slapping your bookie in the mouth like that. We're going to do it today. We're going to do it on this beautiful Friday. Listen, we went 2-2 yesterday because, well, we had bets tied in with UNC. UNC absolutely dropping the bucket with 2 minutes left to go in the game. That was tough for us, but we hit the first two legs of the game. I mean, actually, the first two bets of the game. We hit that under easy. We can cash that one in the San Diego State and UConn game. And then also, we smacked. I said smacked. Clemson on an outright win, plus 7.5. If you took the money line, congratulations to you as the bettors. Iowa State fell apart in the first half, couldn't come back because they have a terrible offense, but I digress. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to move on. I'm here to get to you a better card. I like the card today. I don't like the card. I love the card. I love all the games that are on here. Of course, my Duke Blue Devils are going to be playing tonight in the late night nightcap, and I can't wait for that game. I'm very excited to go play Houston Cougars. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited, but let's talk about some of these games that are coming up at the 7 o'clock hour tonight. Let's start with the first game on the board here. We're going to go NC State versus Marquette. We're talking Airlines Arena, American Airlines Arena here in Dallas, Texas. 7:09 p.m. is the tip on Friday night. And by God, we're going to be looking at Marquette on this one, minus 6.5 as a 3-unit play. I love this one. We're going to throw the gun there very early in this one. Let's talk about where these two teams come from here. There's just a complete mismatch here, and I think we're getting an undervalued Marquette team in this situation. On the offensive side here for NC State, 42nd in offensive efficiency, 159th in field goal percentage, 179th in offensive rebounds, 107th in free throw percentage. When we look on the other side of the ball here for Marquette, 21st in defensive efficiency, 137th in defending shots, 278th in defensive rebounds. Marquette's offense is one of the best in the country, top 20 in that regard. We got 19th in offensive efficiency, 15th in field goal percentage, 82nd in offensive rebounds, and 425th in free throw percentage. I think the free throw percentage is a little bit concerning here for Marquette. However, I think with the guard play and the inside action there, especially with the big man that Marquette brings to the table versus their big man, I think it's going to be a very interesting component in this matchup here. You got to look at NC State. Credit to them. They were like 4-10 in their last 14 games before going into conference tournament play. They win 5 straight games, and then they win all the tournament games. So they're on a 7-game win streak, 5-2 ATS in that run. Off tournament wins versus Texas Tech and Oakland. But when you break down these games, you have a Texas Tech team that was 27th in offensive efficiency and just had a bad shooting night. 9 more shot attempts they had in that game. Texas Tech did, but they shot 22.6% from 3 and 12 less attempts on the free throw line versus NC State. That's not going to win you ball games at all. On the other side, though, Oakland took this team into overtime. They're the 116th offensive efficient team in the country. Granted, their big shooter, their big guard there, making threes out of nowhere, looking like Steph Curry, circa back in the day when he played for Davidson. But I think when you actually break down the stats, 46, they dominated on the boards, 46-34. They were better in the field goal percentage, 45% to 36.8%, and they only won by 5 in that game. So they won in a lot of these statistical categories, but the score was a little bit too close for Oakland to even stay that game. Then you got to look at Marquette, 4-1 straight up in their last 5 games, and their only loss was to UConn. And quite frankly, if you talk to anybody on the street or anybody with a brain in their head, they could see that UConn currently is the best team in the country. So losing to them and without one of their best guards, by the way, Marquette, this is not a bad team, an underrated team. They go and play Western Kentucky, full strength team at that point, 47.8% from the floor, 36.1% from three, won by 18 points. They didn't really do great overall from the shooting perspective, but they won by 18 points. That tells you how good this team is. Then they go and play Colorado. They shot 61.8% from the floor, 42.9% from three, won by 4. But don't get it twisted here with the Colorado Buffaloes. The Colorado Buffaloes are a great team. They're 22nd in KenPom. And they actually dominated that whole game altogether, but the last like 3 or 4 minutes, they kind of narrowed that gap a little bit with Marquette. Marquette should have probably covered that game. Did not. But you're playing against a lot of NBA lottery pick talent there that Colorado's bringing to the table. Very talented team. So beating that team was a great success there for Marquette, especially where they came from to get to that point. Then you got Marquette 9-2 straight up versus top 30 to 75 ranked teams in defensive efficiency with an average margin of victory of 7.6 points. NC State is 2-4 straight up versus top 20 teams in offensive efficiency with an average margin of minus 8.8 points per game. So this team does falter in these spots versus what is considered one of the better offensive efficient teams in the country. Then you got to look at Marquette. 9-2 ATS is a favorite between 6 and 17 points this season. This line is equivalent to basically when they play the UCLA Bruins on the neutral floor and Villanova at home. This is where this line is equivalated to with an NC State team that everybody loves and everybody thinks is great, but they're valuing them in a situation of two teams that didn't even make the tournament. Then you got to look at NC State, 1-6 ATS when they are a dog between 3 and 7 points. So that's another situation here for NC State. They're playing in a window of point spread value that they've underperformed historically this season, anyways. 1-6 ATS. So with all that being said, I think we're getting value here with this Marquette team. We should grab it while we still can, because I think this Marquette team can make a run. They have great guard play. They can play in the front court there with Burns inside for NC State. He's been the problem for a lot of these smaller, inferior teams in these tournament games. Granted, he was successful versus Duke. Granted, he was successful versus UNC. But sometimes the wheels got to fall off with this number 11 team, and I think it does here with this Big East squad in Marquette. So give me Marquette here, -6.5. Not a 1, not a 2. But a 3-unit banger, baby. Hit the gun. And that's what we go with on the first play. Give me a yeah. Woo! I am pumped up here on a beautiful Friday. So make sure if you just joined this show, if you're just seeing this show for the first time, make sure you like and subscribe to the GunzPicks channel. I bring the energy, I bring the heat, I bring the vibes. This is what we do. I give you the sharpest information on the planet, win, lose, or draw. So that is why you need to join this channel. Like, subscribe, comment. I not only give you the fish, I also teach you to fish. This is what I'm doing by giving you this information, this breakdown on this show. And I see Peter Grazia in the chat. He's joining us here. Give him a horn. What's up, Guns? You look suited up for the game. Listen, I got my headband upstairs. I've been taking, I got my armband too. I was outside shooting free throws. I was outside, doing pick and pops, just, shooting arc, shooting 3-pointers, just trying to get the vibe together. I took probably 100 3-point shots. I'm ready for the game. I'm ready to go in there. I'm well dressed. I'm ready to run against this Houston team today, baby. Because I think it's a Duke day. I think it's Duke's time. It's Duke. I'll get to that game in a second. Duke. All right, let's go into the next game here. Let's go into the early games. We gotta calm down. Let's breathe. All right, let's talk Gonzaga. Let's talk Purdue. Little Caesars Arena. Pizza. Detroit, Michigan is the spot. 7:39 is the tip on a Friday night. And I'm going to play this game a little bit differently. I'll get to that in a second. But let's talk about where these two teams come from, right? You have a Gonzaga team that's playing very exceptional right now. 7th in offensive, 57th in field goal percentage, 52nd in offensive rebounding, 140th in free throw percentage. If you actually look at their stats, other than when they played St. Mary's in the championship and the WCC, this team has scored 85 plus points in every single one of their games in the last like 10 games. They're absolutely like astounding on the offensive side of the ball. And granted, they had an exceptional second half versus Kansas, but Kansas is the fallen knife. And Bill Self said it himself in his post-conference, post-game press conference that he was not excited for this season with the injuries that team had. But I digress. Purdue on the defensive side, one of the best in the country, 15th in defensive efficiency, 37th in defending shots, 14th in defensive rebounds. And they don't create a lot of fouls and put teams on the free throw line. They're 10th in the country, allowing opponents at the free throw line. Which is kind of remarkable because this is typically a Purdue team that gets a lot of overs. When you look at Purdue's offense, third in offensive efficiency, 13th in field goal percentage, 16th in offensive rebounds, first in the country in three-point percentage, 179th on the free throw line. One of the best offenses in the country. This team is a lot different, especially with Brian Painter. Everyone's giving a lot of crap. The media is saying like Brian Painter and Mark and Few, actually two coaches in this situation that have historically not done well in the tournaments. Now they're going against each other in the Sweet 16. It's going to be very interesting on this one, but I think Purdue has a slight advantage in my opinion. And then you got Gonzaga. They've just looked great in the first two tourney games, right? 47.6% from the three-point line versus McNeese State, who's ranked 131st in defending the three. 53.3% from three-point land versus Kansas, who's ranked 237th in defending the three. But they're going against a Purdue team with a step up in class. They're ranked 42nd in defending the three, 37th in defending all shots, and they don't give a lot of second chance opportunities with the big man inside with Eby. So it's going to be very difficult if Gonzaga can't get the ball into the bucket in this type of situation. Then you start breaking these teams down of who they've faced all season. When you look at top 50 teams in offensive efficiency that Gonzaga has faced, they're 2-5 straight up with a margin of victory of -3 points per game, which means they lose by 3 on average versus teams that are in the top 50 in offensive efficiency. Then you look at the defensive efficient side, it's a different story. Top 15 teams in defensive efficiency, they're 1-5 straight up with a margin of victory of -5.1 points per game. But that if you take out the conference teams out of that number, they're -11 points per game versus non-conference teams that are in the top 15 in defensive efficiency. So Gonzaga historically has underperformed versus good defensive teams that Purdue brings to the table. Purdue, on the other hand, very good. They've beaten virtually every key team in college basketball in non-conference and also in their own conference for that matter. They're 10-1 straight up versus top 20 teams in offensive efficiency this season with a margin of victory of 6.7 points per game. They're 8-0 straight up versus top 20 teams in defensive efficiency versus versus top 20 teams in defensive efficiency with a margin of victory of 9.5 points per game. So this is a Purdue team that is very powerful, very strong, and has dominated anybody in these top statistical categories. Gonzaga is also 5-4 ATS on neutral sites this season. However, when they are a dog on neutral sites, they're 0-2 ATS in those situations. These two teams did meet on November 20th, which is one of the losses that Gonzaga had ATS. And Purdue beat them 73-63 as 5.5 point favorites on a neutral site. They didn't shoot well in that game. If you actually look at their percentage of shooting in that one, Purdue actually did poorly in that game, and they still won by 10 points in that spot. This is a Purdue team, even when the offense isn't clicking, they're able to find ways to not only win games, but win by double figures versus good teams. This was a team they faced early on the season, November, December. I can't remember the date offhand, but look at the box score in that game. It's kind of interesting. And then you look at the total in that one is also an interesting point on this one. Both of these spread and the total are virtually identical from the last game. It was 153.5 points total in the previous game. Now we're looking at 154, 155 at this point. So we're seeing it climb up towards that over end, even though that is kind of the public side on that one. The result in the last game was 136. Granted, this was in a different position, different spot earlier in the season. I kind of expect a little bit more scoring in this one. I'm not going to be taking the total personally. But if you actually look at the offensive scoring, two of the best in the country, Purdue is 9th in the country with 83.9 points per game. offensively. And then you got Gonzaga is ranked 10th in offensive scoring, 83.9 points per game. And then on the defensive side of the ball, both teams do give up points. You got Purdue 89th in the country defensive scoring, Gonzaga 81st. So most of this kind of leans towards the over. I'm not going to play the game this way, but you actually look at Purdue 8-1 straight up, 6-3 ATS on neutral site games, 4-2 ATS is a favorite of 6 or less, which is where the line is sitting currently. The over 6-1, 6-1 when Purdue is favored by 6 or less as well. So it kind of tells me that the over is probably the spot. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to call that a lean on this one. I'd probably say this is going to be a high scoring game because last time it was 136. I don't think it's going to be that type of game in this spot, especially where you see these two teams playing, scoring a lot of points, especially how they've done in the previous 2 tournament games. But I want to take it from a parlay perspective like I did yesterday. I think Marquette's going to win the game outright. I think Purdue's going to win the game outright. Quite frankly, I have a 7-1 future on Purdue to win the whole tournament, and I still think they can do it. But I'm going to put those two teams together, and I'm going to get at minus 109 and make it one bet at the money line. So I'm going to take Purdue money line, Marquette money line, parlay that, a 2-teamer, minus 109. That's going to be a 2-unit banger. That's how I'm going to do that game. Also lean towards the over. I'm not going to take it. I'm just leaning. That's all I'm doing. Because if I get caught one of those situations, especially how these two teams are playing red hot, scoring a lot of points, Gonzaga coming off an electric second half versus Kansas. Same thing with Purdue. They're coming off a big, bad, high-scoring game themselves. On the offensive side, I kind of have this yin and yang. Are we going to be watching people shoot on a neutral court, different court than they've seen, and then we're going to see them missing shots left and right, left and right? I don't want to see that. I don't want to touch the total at all. I just want to play Purdue to win the game and parlay that with Marquette. All right, let's go to the next game, the game that I love. I'm wearing the hat. I'm wearing the jersey, as you see right here. I am excited for this game. A good Duke team getting into the second weekend, Sweet 16. John Steyer is the coach. He has a lot to prove. Big shoes to fill for the retirement of Coach K. He was unsuccessful last year, losing to Tennessee. He gets into the Sweet 16 this year, brings back 3 key components of the team from last year, adds in some of the freshmen, gains some depth on the team. They kind of underperformed a little bit in the conference tournament, losing the first round to NC State. I know we know who NC State is. And they're going against one of the better teams in the country as far as Ken Palm is concerned. It's Duke, it's Houston, it's American Airlines Center, it's Dallas, Texas. Feels like a home game for the Cougars, doesn't it? Well, we'll see about that. 9:39 is the tip. Let's talk about these two teams before I make a pick. I don't think you guys even know where I'm going to be going with this game. So let's go with this one. We got Duke on this one. Duke and Houston match up pretty well as far as Ken Palm is concerned. You have a Duke offense that's 5th in offensive efficiency, 13th in field goal percentage, 13th three-point percentage, 182nd in free throw percentage, 78th in offensive rebounding. They're going against one of the better defenses in the country, just below Iowa State, 2nd in defensive efficiency for the Cougars, 2nd in defending shots, 3rd in turnover percentage, 273rd in defensive rebounding, which could be a key on this one. With second chance opportunities and the big man inside there for Duke. But they're 322nd in allowing opponents to the free throw line. If you remember in that game versus Texas A&M, which they almost lost that game, Texas A&M had 45 free throws in that game. And then the game before that, they lost the free throw attempt battle as well. This is a team that is aggressive. However, they do make mistakes and they do get fouls and they allow teams to get to the free throw line. And Duke doesn't have a bad free throw shooting team. They're 182nd in free throw percentage there, but they're above 70%. And then you got to look at one of these key components in this one. Duke on neutral sites has been very well. The only time they didn't cover was against NC State, where they lost outright as favorite. They're 4-1 ATS on neutral sites this season, but they're 5-0 to the under, which is a kind of a key one on this one. Houston as a single-digit favorite. I've been talking about this. If you've been watching any one of these shows, it is not a take for anybody. They play well when they're a double-digit favorite. They explode on teams and they blow them up. But when they are in these short favorite roles, they have shown and proven unsuccessful in those situations. Houston is 4-12 ATS as a single-digit favorite at 9 points or less. 1-3 ATS is a single-digit favorite on neutral site games. So when you look at those type of statistics, tell me why you would ever take Houston in those spots. Houston is night and day compared to how they perform outside of their own gym. They're 2-8 ATS in true road games this season. They're 5-0 ATS in neutral site games, but their 5 ATS wins were as double-digit favorites. Like I said, they perform well when they're a big favorite, not when they're a short favorite below 10. Their defense gives up 65 points per game on the road, 70 points per game in their last 3 games, including 95 points to Texas A&M in the previous game, a team that is ranked 35th in offensive efficiency. Now they're going up against the team in Duke that's 5th in the country in offensive efficiency, so there's a step up in class there. Also, Duke totals, if you want some stats on this one, this is one of the lowest totals that they've had all season or have had to prepare for. They've had a few. Of course, they had to play Virginia twice. You know those are unders. They're 5-0 to the under this season when the total is 40 points or less, so take that with a grain of salt as well. Houston defense is very good, but they haven't faced an offense to this caliber before. Granted, they faced Baylor. Baylor is a little bit of a step up in class, but they're almost linear. And Duke has this size advantage inside. They have Filipowski. They have Mitchell. They have these big guys inside that can bang with you. And Filipowski is a complete mismatch with anybody on that court. And then you talk about the guard play with Houston. Duke's guards are great. You have Roach. You have McLean. You have a lot of guys on that offense that can get the job done on the guard side, and they're one of the better defenses in the country statistically. So when you talk about those matchups of guys that are 7 foot, 6'10", the biggest defenders that Houston has, they play small, 6'7", 6'8". That's going to be a problem for them in this game. And then, of course, you got to look at Ralph Sampson. What has he done? He's had these great teams with Houston, but how far has he ever gotten? He's never gotten to the Final Four. I can tell you that. In those positions, he's always had to face an ACC team. You look at last year versus Miami. What happened? Miami beat them. Then the year before that, what happened? He had to play UNC. What happened in that game? UNC won that game. Both of those teams were dogs. So are we seeing history repeating itself here? You're in the Sweet 16. You're in the Elite Eight. You're in that second weekend. You're a Houston Cougars team, and guess who you have to face? An ACC team once again. It's a different ACC team. It's the Duke Blue Devils. And guess what's going to happen in that game? I think the Duke Blue Devils are going to win this game outright. Not only cover the spread, but win this game outright. Give me Duke on this one, plus 4.5, 2-unit special, and the money line, plus 165, 1-unit play as well. Guns blazing. Also, I'm going to add a play on this one. Like I said, 5-0 to the under when the total is 40 or less with Duke. And I've also in neutral site games, Duke is 5-0 to the under as well. So give me Duke on the under, 133.5 as well, 1-unit play. Bang. Get into the chat. Let's talk. I got 175 of you beautiful people out there watching. Please subscribe to the GunzPick channel. Like, comment, hit the bells. Do whatever you have to do. I want to see you in the comments, baby. I'm giving a lot of analysis here. My energy is high. It's Friday. It's above 60 degrees out here. I'm out wearing a tank top. It feels like it's 30 degrees in my basement. And I'm out here giving you plays. So give me some love. Hit this thumbs up for me. Please. Please. Woo! Let's go into the next play. All right, last play on the board. Last game of the board is the late night degenerate special. It is Creighton versus Tennessee, Little Caesars Arena, Detroit, Michigan. Second leg in Detroit. 10:09 is the tip. Unless the first game goes into overtime, we don't know. These times continually fluctuate. Well, let's talk about where these two teams come from, where they've been, how they doing. You have Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes hasn't been to an Elite Eight since when? Texas in the 70s? I don't know. That's been 15 years. Now he's playing now he's a coach for Tennessee, and he's in a position versus his Creighton team to possibly get into that position that he hasn't been in probably 15 to 20 years. Let's talk about this game here. Creighton offense. 11th in offensive efficiency, 3rd in field goal percentage, 273rd in offensive rebounding, 10th in free throw percentage. Granted, take that with a grain of salt. Creighton doesn't shoot a lot of free throws. They don't create a lot of fouls either. I'll get to that in a second. Tennessee's defense is 3rd in defensive efficiency, 4th in defending shots, 135th in defensive rebounds, which could be a key factor in this one with Kobrenner inside 7-footer. I think he's going to be banging the boards there with his Tennessee defense. They're 258th in allowing opponents at the free throw line. That's a key component in this one because Creighton, when they do get to the free throw line, they do make their free throw shots. They just don't get a lot of opportunities. Maybe that is just conference play. Maybe it's the referees. Who knows? But I think this might be an advantage there for Creighton. When you look at Tennessee, they shot great versus St. Peter's in their first game, but St. Peter's is ranked 87th in defensive efficiency. In the next game, they had to step up in class, had to play Texas. That game was much closer. Texas shot 33.8% from the floor, 12% from three-point range. Playing a better defense almost cost them the game versus Texas. The difference in that game, though, when Tennessee won that game, they actually had a pretty big lead at one point, but Texas did narrow the gap towards the end. They had more free throw attempts, making 4 more than Texas, which was kind of the deciding factor in that one. But it's going to be a different story there with Creighton. Creighton is not going to lose the free throw attempt battle against anybody in the country because they're ranked number 1 in not allowing opponents to the free throw line. They don't foul. They dominate on the defensive side. They're efficient on the defense, like I said, 23rd in the country in defensive efficiency, but they don't create a lot of fouls. They tend to dominate opponents in making free throw attempts as well. If you actually look at their last 2 tournament games versus Akron, Creighton had 20 free throw attempts, made 15, where Akron only had 6 free throw attempts, made 4. And in the second game, the game that went into double overtime that was close, except for the second OT where Creighton kind of pulled away, Creighton had 14 free throw attempts, made 13 of those 14. But Oregon had 5 free throw attempts, only made 4. That was the difference in the game now, wasn't it? This is what Creighton does. Also, you look at Tennessee versus top 25 defensive efficient teams, which Creighton does apply here. They're 1-5 straight up with an average margin of victory of minus 5.8 points per game. So what you have here is a Creighton team that is sitting here as a dog against a Tennessee team that's favored here, granted, probably because they're rated a little bit higher on the KenPom scale. But you've seen what this Tennessee team does versus good defensive teams. They're 1-5 straight up all this season, losing by an average margin of almost 6 points. But you have Creighton here at +4, +4.5, +3.5. I think this number is misleading, and I'm going to be going with Creighton on this one. Hopefully, I'm not putting my foot into a bear trap. But I think Creighton is in a better spot here. I wouldn't mind sprinkling on the money line, but I'm a little bit cautious on that one. But I'm going to take Creighton here on this one. Give me Creighton +4, 2-unit banger for the end of the show. Woo! Ha! And see 195 of you guys watching me live here on a Friday night pre-game before the tip-off of the 7:09 game. Make sure you like and subscribe to the GunzPicks channel. Hit the bell, hit the thumbs up, do everything that you can to support this channel. This is what I do. I do it for the low price of $0.00. I do it for you guys. We're trying to beat the books. That's all we're trying to do. I don't work for the books. I'm against the books. And I want you guys to be against them too. And I want to give you the information properly. And you can use these picks or not. You can fade them. I don't care. And Michael Belena in the chat says, "What up, Guns?" I wonder what Michael's on today. Hopefully he's not anything opposite of me. I like it when we're on the same place tonight. Creighton probably wins outright. I agree. I mean, I think a lot of these short dogs today, you might as well sprinkle in the money line. I mean, you saw it with Creighton yesterday, 7.5 point dog wins outright. I mean, we're in the narrowest of games right now, and these teams are playing to win games, not to cover games. This is fight or flight is what we call it here in college basketball. And sprinkling on the money line, I would say 75-25. Do something like that. That is what you do with the spread and the money line on these dogs. Thank you. Much appreciated. Of course, Sox Nation says, "Go Illinois." Yeah, you had that one, but what happened to San Diego State, my guy? Dominated by UConn. Dominated. All right. Let's go recap for you guys what we're going to be on today. And I'd like to see what Sox Nation is on today because he is a supporter of the GunzPicks channel. Always embrace debate. Let's go. Hit the like button. That's why we get the horn. So what are we going to be on today? We're going to be on Marquette -6.5, and that is my top play, 3-unit banger. I would say 1A top play, 1B, of course, coming up here. Then we're going to go Purdue money line, Marquette money line, -109, 2-unit special. We're going to go a double banger on this one. Actually, triple banger on this one. We're going to go Duke plus 4.5, 2-unit special, and the money line plus 168, 1 unit, and the under 133.5 for another unit. 4 units on that game. And of course, we're going to end it off with Creighton plus 4, 2-unit special. Sox Nation says, got my ASS kick. You know what happens when you get your butt kicked? It means you're going to hit the biggest of biggest days. That's how it works for me. When I skid, I know how to fall into a 10-foot hole, and I know how to climb my way out. This is what I do. You could have a month of hot streaks, and you're going to have one bad week. People are going to judge you on your one bad week. But guess what? I'm Teflon. Just wipe it off like this. You move forward. That's the only thing you can do with that one. But those are the plays that pay the bills. Marquette, Purdue money line, parlayed with Marquette money line. We're going to go Duke money line, Duke plus 4.5, under 133.5 in that game, and Creighton plus 4. Also lean towards the Purdue over as well. Not going to take it personally, but that is my lean. And Sox Nations likes NC State, Purdue. You like Purdue, he likes Duke, and he likes Creighton. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad, buddy. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. He goes, yeah, I can see that fat kid for NC State having problems with the pick and rolls versus Marquette runs. I should have talked about that. That was another kind of key component in that one. When you watch I think it was the Oakland game, the pick and pops, that kid had so much, Burns had so much trouble getting over the screens and switching. That is what Marquette does get open for threes. How is he going to defend against that, especially when that big guy for Marquette comes in, sets the screen, and then he's got to go and switch? I don't know if the guys are going to switch or if they're going to try to fight over the top versus that big dude. It's going to be a lot of open opportunities there for Marquette. I think Marquette's going to smoke them, hopefully. It's a marathon, not a track meet. That's what we're trying to do here. Guns, please post too. Thank you. No problem. Yeah, I'll post after the show ends. But that's going to do it here for the GunzPicks show. 207 of you beautiful people watching me live. Like, subscribe, comment. I will read the comments. I'm going to try to answer a lot of them as we go here. I'm going to try to improve this channel a little bit more. I'm doing it with my thumbnails. I'm doing it with just being a little bit more interactive with that. So please like and subscribe and comment even after the show. I'll try to answer what I can. But that's going to do it here for the GunzPicks Breakin' Ankle show. How do we end this? Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the board. And as always, go Duke. And let's keep dancing. Bye.